Welcome to this year's Health and Healing Crusade, and I want to welcome you to our raw demo. I'm so excited, and I'm thrilled that you guys came out to our first meeting. This is Laura, and she has a lovely voice. She's going to be crooning some beautiful songs for us, but she's also assisting me with a few things I need today, so thank you, Laura. How many of you have seen my demos before? Wow, that's a lot of you. Wonderful. Did you go home and try to make some of those things? Anybody? Okay. Well, these are a little more complicated today, I think, but they're so tasty, and they're some of the things that we serve at Bella Vita Lifestyle Center. And so I wanted to share some of our homespun recipes with you, and I think you will enjoy them. You know, Danny and I have such a passion to get this word out, and God has given us a beautiful health message, hasn't He? I think of my own journey and how He's brought me along, with the cancer and then growing from an animal protein diet to now a vegetarian, vegan, and now a lot of raw and juicing. And so it's been progressive, and I know for you it's going to be progressive as well. And so we just want to share this information with you. Danny always talks about a flashlight, so I actually brought one here today because he talks about our battery. And I have to tell you that since I've been juicing and cleansing and doing the raw, my battery has been charged. I have a lot more energy than I used to. And some of you that may know me from years ago might see it. You really do have a lot of energy when you're eating those live, nutrient-dense food that have all those enzymes and all that electrical charge in them. And so I just want to share these recipes with you. These are, I think they're kid-friendly recipes. That's a burden of mine too, because when we travel, we like to also bring to the locale or the church that we're going to a children's health program. Because did you know that 1 in 3 children in our country are either overweight or obese? Did you know that? You know, the kids are getting type 2 diabetes, and they're having many adult onset diseases in young age, and teenagers, and people in their 20s that already have some hardening of the arteries. So it's really important that we, as myself, because I have little grandchildren, that we start teaching them and bringing them in the kitchen. I love to bring my granddaughter, and we'll make carrot juice in our champion juicer, and she just loves putting carrots through, and she'll drink it. I mean, not with the gusto I drink it with, but she'll drink it. And so I think it's just getting our kids involved is really important. Another thing is having a garden. How many of you have a garden? You know, we talk about that external metabolism. It starts out in the garden where the soil is rich in those minerals and those nutrients that the plants need, that we need. And so when we can grow our own food and get our kids involved and bring them into the kitchen, wow, it goes full circle. And then my husband was talking the other day. He takes everything to a wonderful, great new level. He was talking about the spiritual lessons we can learn in the garden. He planted some little pomegranate trees and talked about the pomegranates on the priest's robe and the crowns on the pomegranates. So there's many things that we can learn as we involve our children. So I call these kid-friendly recipes. In fact, we're trying to develop a new program, because the program I've been taking out on the road is kind of a secular spun program that I tailor for our church. But we're trying to come up with one that really focuses on the 8 laws of health. So Modern Manna will have their own homespun kids program. And so we want to encourage our kids to eat more rainbows. So we have a site called eatmorerainbows.com, and we're going to post these recipes if you'd like to see them. And so we just want you to be praying for our children's program as Danny and I take these classes out on the road for Modern Manna, that we are able to train not just moms and dads and grandpas, but kids too. So first recipe, this is called mock tuna. And I like this recipe because it makes a wonderful hors d'oeuvre, and I serve this at Bella Vita. This can also be used as a spread on any type of bread or cracker. And so for this recipe, I'm going to be using a champion juicer. And if you're familiar with this champion juicer, it's good for carrot juice. But it has a homogenizing plate, and that plate can help it to homogenize nuts, and you can also put frozen bananas through here and make like ice cream. So these nuts that I'm using for this recipe are almonds and sunflower seeds. Like I said, this recipe will be posted in the quantities on the site, and so you'll be able to get that. We've soaked these nuts. By soaking our nuts, we also help to release those enzymes that are important for digestion. So that's why we soak our nuts. So I'm going to go ahead and put these nuts through our homogenizer. And sometimes they pop out of here, like they're doing right now. Sometimes I use a little bit of water. I've got almonds and sunflowers. Now these nuts have been soaking about 12 hours, and I'm going to add a little water to help it go through our homogenizer. Now this really works well at home. I hope it works well for all of you. There are some of you sitting out here that have actually had this recipe at Bella Vita, and it's quite delicious. This is what it looks like. And try yours at home. How many of you have tried putting some nuts through your food processor, your Champion juicer? Have you tried it? Yeah. So it really does make a nice pasty butter, and this is a consistency you're looking for. Now I've used the food processor. It's not quite the same, but we're going to go ahead and use it. Thank you, Tyler.
After you soak your nuts, do you dry them?
Not for this particular recipe. Tyler, if you could just take this one. Thank you. Just take it off, dear. Okay. And plug that in. So we have just a basic Cuisinart, and I'm going to go ahead and just blend these up real quick for the sake of time. And I have done this in the food processor when I did not have the Champion available to me. So we're going to go ahead and just process these up real quick. Won't be the smooth consistency I'd like as this paste, but I think we'll get it done quicker here. And as you can see, it kind of collects on this side. So what you want to do is just take your spatula, run it around the sides of the vessel, and just push it back down in there. And because this is going to be a little more textured than it would be through the Champion, I'm going to add a little bit more water. And let's take a look at this. So I want to show you kind of the difference so you know what to expect in both worlds. So see that? So you see how that's kind of textured there. But it's still going to be good. Like I said, I have used this before, so this works well too. I just really wanted to show you the gourmet product, but you'll have to try it at home with yours. Okay, let's go ahead and move this out of the way. All right. Okay, so we have our paste here. And I'm just going to go ahead and get this kind of blended up together because we have two different kinds of consistencies here. So this is a type of mock tuna, and what's really neat about this recipe is the kelp. Now kelp is a sea vegetable, and I like kelp as well as dulse, and I add these when I want that fishy flavor to things. Very good source of iodide and other minerals. So we're going to add a little bit of this kelp to give it that fishy flavor. Then I also have some micro-diced celery. Also some micro-diced red onion. And to this, we're going to add a little lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon juice. And now I'd like to add a little bit of this dill. I love fresh dill. I love the smell of fresh dill. And I use it pretty generously. So we're just going to mince up these leaves real quick. And it's beautiful green color, and you know it's full of minerals here. Chlorophyll, very good for liver cleansing. And it gives it kind of that pickle flavor. So we're going to add our dill. Want to add a little bit of this parsley. It's always best to use your fresh herbs. You want to use your fresh herbs because then you're getting all those wonderful enzymes and minerals. So we're going to go ahead and mince this up too. And the knife I'm using, for those of you that have seen my demos, that's called a Mac knife, and it's a very sharp knife. I do believe in using good knives. So we'll go ahead and blend this up. And this is our recipe, just this easy. This makes a wonderful pâté. It makes a spread. You can fill a tomato, and we're going to fill these lovely little mini peppers. If you wanted to, you can add a little bit of the Celtic salt. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Celtic salt, it has 91 minerals, one of which is magnesium, that actually can help lower your blood pressure. So we're going to add a little bit of Celtic salt to taste and give it a stir. Now let me just clean this up real quick. And I have these beautiful colored peppers. And just take the seeds out of those. We want to hollow them out real quick. Take my beautiful red one here. I have learned that peppers that are green because they aren't actually ripe. Did you know that? So if you have trouble digesting your pepper, it may be because it's not ripe. So look for your yellow ones, your orange ones, or the red ones. Okay, so we're going to stuff our little peppers. And I have a beautiful plate here to put them on. And you just fill them up. I like to heap them, kind of for aesthetics. And these make wonderful appetizers as well as just a major part of a meal. You know, with a raw meal, a nice salad with this would be wonderful. You could also have this with a nice raw soup. And you can see how easy this really is. So for those of you that don't have the Champion, you can see you can do it with the food processor. And it's just as good. It's a little chunky, but it's still very tasty. So we have our beautiful peppers here. And I always love to garnish my plate. So I have different garnishing tools, in fact, that we're selling back there that I'll introduce to you. But I think aesthetics in food is really important because it's our eyes that start eating first, right? When you look at something, you're not going to be attracted to it if it looks brown and gross. So here we are. Here's our beautiful little peppers. Can you see that? They are delicious. And for those of you that have eaten them at Bella Vita, you can vouch for that, huh? They're beautiful. So I'm going to move along to my next recipe. And just give me a moment to tidy this up and clean this up for my next recipe. Okay. Have our salt. I hate a messy area. I like to clean as I go in the kitchen. And one thing I learned when I went to the culinary school is called mise en place. Mise en place is where you gather all your ingredients for a recipe together. Have you ever started a recipe and you start putting it together and you find out, well, I'm out of such and such. So mise en place, you gather everything together, clean as you go, and that way you don't get stuck with something that doesn't work. Now, my lovely assistant, if you can get me my corn tortillas. Now, this is a Excalibur dehydrator, and I love it. I have to tell you, when I first purchased this, I was coerced by Danny. No, I wasn't. I did it because I wanted to please and really get into this raw thing, but it did sit in my garage for a few months and gathered dust. But I had an epiphany when we went to a raw restaurant, and I saw them using this amazing 9-tray dehydrator, and I looked at that, and it kind of like a light went on, and I said, I can really do this. And I just got in there, and I started to do it. And so one of the things I want to do for you is to show you how easy it is to use, and not to have fears when you make this kind of food. So I'd like to show you these, Miracle of Miracles. These are actually corn tortillas. Now, I made them last night, and I put them in, and they dehydrated all night. But there's another thing I would like to show you that you can also do, because when you're dehydrating things, go ahead and fill it up with other things. And so I'm going to show you what I mean by that. I actually can reach this, Laura. I made some seasoned seeds. Can you see that? Seasoned seeds are wonderful to have on salad. They're kind of like those little crispy toppings that you'd put on a salad. And so I'm going to show you real quick how to do that. Because when I run my dehydrator, I'll put the tortillas in, I'll put seasoned seed in, and I'll put other things that are savory with savory things. If you're going to run it, fill it up. So real quickly, I'm going to show you how to make these easy seasoned seeds. Now, I don't have this on the website because this is so easy. Now, I have soaked pumpkin seeds and soaked sunflower seeds. And what I'm using here is a little coconut aminos. Coconut aminos is a pretty cool invention, I find. It actually is coconut sap, which is raw, and it has some Celtic salt in it. So, but it gives you that kind of brown color like a soy sauce would without the soy. And because my husband is allergic to both soy and wheat, I'm always looking for alternatives. So I added just a little bit to my seeds, my soaked seeds, and now I'm going to flavor them up. So I have some onion powder. I'm going to put a little bit on both. And I have some garlic powder. You can certainly use some fresh minced garlic. And I have a little bit of cayenne because we like a lot of pep in our house. They like spicy things. So I'm adding some cayenne, which has medicinal value anyway, so it's good for you. So you just mix that around, blend that around, and then what we do with it is we go ahead and put it on, our dehydrator sheet. Now inside these Excaliburs, this one is a 5-tray, you're going to find a tray and a screen, and then these little handy things are called Teflon sheets. Now you use Teflon sheets when you have things that might spill or run, and it keeps them from going through and making a dirty mess in your dehydrator. So I'm just going to go ahead and put these on here, both of them on one. And that's all you do. This is very simplistic. And you just spread them around. And you see how easy that is? You can do this. And these are very nutritious. You could even use them. How many of you like to travel? And you always wonder, well, what kind of foods can I take with me? You can certainly make up things ahead of time like this. Another thing I throw in my dehydrator is crackers with flax seeds and that type of thing. Those are things that are easy to travel with and pack. So when you're out on the road and there's not a lot of choices out there for raw, you can make yourself a little trail mix bag. So this is going to go in our dehydrator. And I think I need your help, dear. Laura. And we're going to put this in our dehydrator. And I like to keep things, is that on there right? I'll let you do it. Thank you. I like to keep things about 115. I don't really take it up higher than that because they say about 118 or around between 115 and 118, things that start to denature. Things start to be destroyed. You're cooking your food. So I like to keep it around 115. Now those will go probably all night if I put them in at night. So I would say about 10 to 12 hours if you like them real crisp. And these are super, super crisp. So I just wanted to show you that. That was a little extra thing that I threw in here because it's really cool to fill up your dehydrator when you're making things. Now I'm going to do something with these beautiful tortillas. Let me just move this out of my way here. Now these tortillas, I was quite impressed with because they look like the real deal, don't they? It looks like a real tortilla. So we're just going to use our little vegetable scraper to get these up. And I'm going to use those for my next recipe. Now, you probably are wondering, well, how did she ever get them so uniform and perfect, right? It wasn't magic. It was this thing. This is a brilliant engineering miracle for the raw world. My girlfriend, Brenda, she actually has a company named Rawsome Creations, and she developed this and has it manufactured in Bali. Some of the proceeds go back to the underprivileged there. And this gives you perfect tortillas, perfect crepes, and we're going to make crepes today. So I just wanted to show you that. I do have some for sale back there, so you'll be able to order them through Modern Manna. So that is the secret to those. Amazingly enough, you could also cut these in quarters and make little tortillas chips. So for my next recipe, we're going to make something amazing. This is a kind of enchilada taco. So it calls for several wonderful ingredients. It calls for some cabbage, mushrooms, corn, red pepper, and then we have some various seasonings. I have lime, garlic, lemon juice, chili powder, and cumin. So one of the things I'm going to whip up first before we make the filling is I'm going to go ahead and whip up the marinade. Now, the marinade is pretty simple. It calls for some orange juice. And with that, I'm going to add a little oil and some lemon juice, a little lime juice, and then we have some different seasonings, and these could be totally up to your discretion. I have some chili powder. You could use like a chipotle if you like. I have some cumin, and then I have some minced garlic. In the raw world, I want you to be aware that things can be really pungent because they're raw. So what you might want to do is, if you're scaling a recipe, is don't scale the pungent things like your onion, garlic, or even add additional salt. So we're going to go ahead and add our garlic. And then we're just going to whisk this together, and this is going to be our marinade for our filling to our enchilada. Now, I want to introduce another item to you. How many of you have seen one of these? This is called a mandolin, and it's pretty cool because you get uniform shreds. You can get shreds that are very thin. So what I'm going to do is just shred some of this cabbage. I could certainly do it with my chef knife, but one thing about using a mandolin is it's nice and thin. And that's what I want, a nice thin texture. It's always important to go ahead and wear some sort of protective mitt because these things are dangerously sharp. So I have this probably a little less than 1/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to go ahead and start shredding this, and I'll show you how thin you can get this. I also like to make sauerkraut. How many of you have made homemade sauerkraut? Very easy to do, and I use the mandolin to do that too. On a very thin shred on the mandolin. Okay. Woo! Cabbage flying. So there we have it. We have some beautifully thinly shredded cabbage. Take off my glove here and let you see how pretty that is. You can't really achieve that when you use a knife. You just really can't. So where can you find a mandolin? Probably at like a cookware store or a chef store online, someplace like that. They vary anywhere. That one was about $70. They can be cheaper or more complex with attachments. I like that one locally. There's a Cookworks here in town, a chef store that I got that at. So we have our cabbage, and to this, I'm going to add some mushrooms. You know, I'm so glad to hear that mushrooms have anti-carcinogenic properties. Have you read that as the latest news on the internet? I was like, yes, because I love them. Any excuse I can have to eat my mushrooms, I'm very happy. To that, we're going to add some corn. And this is an organic corn. A lot of concern nowadays for GMOs, so look for your organic corn. And this is some beautiful red pepper. Just going to throw that in on top. So we have a really pretty color here. And I'm going to go ahead and just mix this with my hands and get that all blended up well. This is very pretty. Okay. We have a little micro-diced red onion. Throw in there. And again, blend that with my hands. You could use tongs if you like. Now what I'd like to do is pour my marinade over the top of this. Now these enchiladas will soften up, okay? Anytime you add a marinade or a sauce, your vegetables are going to start weeping. So this is going to get very limp. If you like it a little more crunchy, you're going to want to eat it right away. Raw food is best eaten right away, but this is a dish that could be eaten several hours later. So I want to take one of our beautiful shells and then bring up my ingredients for my sauce. Now these are a few little ingredients that are going to go in on this sauce that we're going to put on our shells. We have some sugar substitute, which is called a Verdura. How many of you heard of Verdura? It's very low glycemic. I'd like to show it to you. It's a little on the brown side. Can you see that? We also have some chilies that I've been soaking. These are dried chilies. Have some oregano, onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, and some olive oil, and some beautiful peppers. Now this is all going to go in the blender. So I'm going to pull out this Vitamix. And I love this high-speed blender. This is what we use for our smoothies and to get things really smooth. Go ahead and put your rough chopped peppers in your Vitamix. And then we're going to add our garlic powder, olive oil, chili powder, cumin, onion powder, our Verdura, oregano, and I want to add these chilies just to make sure I got all the seeds out of here. These are dried chilies that you can find at any grocery store. You just want to hydrate them in water, which only takes about an hour or so. And just with your fingers, you can run the chilies through with your fingers, getting all the seeds, because the seeds are going to make it very spicy. So we want to take some of that hot out of there. Okay, so now we have all that in there. And add a little bit of our water. Here's my. And the peppers themselves are very moist. So we're going to go ahead and probably need our plunger to get those down in there. Start your Vitamix down on low and then work it up. So you can see the peppers themselves add a lot of moisture to it, so you don't really need a lot of water. There we go. So it's kind of a pretty red orangish sauce, and it only takes a minute to blend up. And there we have our chili sauce that we will be putting on our tortillas. This is a delicious sauce. Now let me see. For our sauce, I like to use a brush, just to make sure that we get it nice and covering these tortillas. And you just want to go ahead and spread it generously over the tortillas. And I like to flip them over as well. This is going to add moisture and give it a lot of extra flavor. So we can take some of our filling and put it in our little tortillas and roll them up. And they're kind of enchilada-like, or you can eat them as a taco and put taco condiments on it. But I like to put them back in that dehydrator and warm them up. In the raw world, we use our dehydrator as a type of oven to warm things up to room temperature. So let me just show you what this looks like. Pour a little over the top. So you can see it makes a really pretty dish. Now, another thing we enjoy in our house is avocados. So I would like to top this off with some quick guacamole. This is kind of an avocado cream ganache that we're going to put our avocados quickly and just smush it with a fork. I want to show you this. I learned this trick at Living Light. If you just take your knife, hit the seed, it comes right out like that. Amazing. And we can scoop out our avocado and just go ahead and smush it with a fork. This is a chunky kind of ganache. We're going to add a little bit of some minced garlic. And squeeze just a little bit of lemon juice in there. And then I have some cilantro. I love cilantro. This will give it a nice fresh flavor. And just a touch of our Celtic salt. And you have a quick topper for this beautiful enchilada. I hope you all have had lunch. And just set that on top. Another thing I've done with this that you can do and have fun with it is to make like a cashew cream to go over it as well. But you kind of get the idea. And this is our enchilada with a cabbage filling and a avocado ganache. Sounds a little complicated, but you can see I did it in front of you, so it's very doable. So I will tidy this up and we'll bring out our next recipe. For my last recipe, I think I'm going to flip over my cutting board because we are moving to something very sweet. And when I do sweet things, I have a sweet side to my cutting board. And I've trained everybody in my house with that idea. And the reason being is I don't want my melons tasting like garlic or my cantaloupe tasting like onion. So this side of the cutting board has a little gutter that runs along here, which makes a good side for your sweet side, because then when you're cutting a melon or something, it catches the juice. So I've trained everybody to that idea. Now this is a beautiful recipe. It's quite easy. It may look a little complicated, but I'm going to walk you through it, and you'll see how fun and easy this is. This is a banana crepe. I'm going to show you just how simple you can make crepes with your dehydrator. And I only discovered this recently. Now for this, I'm going to again use my Vitamix. So I have a nice clean vessel here. And what we're going to use for our crepes is bananas. I'm going to put some very ripe bananas in our blender. When they get the spots, that's when you want to use them. Don't throw them out. So I'm going to move pretty quickly to do this because I want to show you the template. They're giving me the sign back there that I need to move along, so I'm going to move rapidly through this. Squeeze just a little bit of lemon juice in there to get it going and also to help with the color. And my cinnamon. This is a Ceylon cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon is a different kind of cinnamon as opposed to your cassia cinnamon. It has medicinal and nutrient benefits, so look it up. It's much better for you. It's not irritating to the gastrointestinal tract like your other type of cinnamon. So it's called Ceylon, C-E-Y-L-O-N. So Laura, if you can please get me those banana crepes. Now these bananas, we're just going to blend these up really quick. Use our plunger to get them down in there. And I should have a blank one in there, do I? Oh, I have it right here. Okay, so we have our smooth bananas. Thank you. I'll just set this here so they can see that. And we're going to use our one with our template. So I just want to show you real quick how this is done. We won't do all of them, but I want you to see this. So you're going to take probably about a 1/3 cup of your banana. There we go. And I have a little offset spatula here, and you just run that around in the circles. And if it goes over the edge, it's okay, because when we pull this template up, it's going to be nice and clean. There we go. So you can see that. This is kind of like a fruit leather. So you're always thinking, raw food can be very intuitive as well. You can put strawberries, blueberries, make fruit leather. Pour it out on your Teflon sheet, and you have a wonderful candy for your kids that's good for them. And they'll love it. So here we have our perfect crepe sizes. Now this will go, I'll just go ahead and put it in here so you can see. This will go in our dehydrator, and again, we would not put it in there with our corn tortillas with the onions. And we'll go ahead and turn this on about 115 as well, and this is what you get. These little things here. These will be overnight. It took these overnight. I would say anywhere between 8 and 10 hours. So this is what you get. Now, just real quickly, I knew I wouldn't have time to crack a coconut, but this is a coconut. Go ahead and clean this out, and I will just use the blender with the banana in it, which will be fine for a little extra flavor. This is a Thai coconut, and it comes once you crack it. It's the real deal. It has the coconut water in it, as you can see. And if you run a spatula around inside of here, you actually can pull out the meat. Now, I'm sure you've seen chunks of coconut that's hard. Well, this is going to be a little softer. This one is older, so it's not even as soft as it could be. Some of it is just smooth like silk. And I really wanted you to see that because many people don't even know that coconuts look like this. But they actually come with a big green leafy skin on them, and then that's peeled back, and this is what you get. And inside of here is that hard brown nut that you're so familiar with seeing. So we're going to take our coconut and our coconut water and our cashews, and I'm going to make a quick filling for this crepe. What I have here is some sweetener. Now you can use any sweetener you like. You could use honey, maple syrup. Some people are using agave. I'm sure you've heard on the news that it's highly refined, so we're learning in the raw world to steer a little away from that. I have some vanilla. This is a glycerin vanilla, and we're just going to blend this up real quick. Now this is really thick. Go ahead and get my plunger, turn it down because we don't want a volcano, and I'm going to go ahead and blend this up. Now while that's blending, I'm going to get out the finished product. So this will get smooth. Take it all the way up, and you want it to be nice and smooth. Take a little minute. You don't want your equipment to overheat because when it overheats, then you're cooking it, so be real careful. So I have a nice smooth cream, but for the sake of quickness, I made one for you. Isn't that beautiful? Gotta admit, that's beautiful. So what I'm gonna do is take our little crepes, and we're gonna take some of this delicious cream. I'm gonna spread this right down the center. It almost looks like a whipped cream. It's not real sweet, it's not too sweet. And you can put any fruit that you like inside of this. I have another plate over here. Now I have some beautiful plump blackberries. I had some blueberries. You could use blueberries. You could use cherries. So I'm going to put some of these big blackberries in here. These are huge. And then we could take some of our raspberries. Okay. Now these are really fat ones, so I don't know how well they're going to sit up, but I like to turn them over on their sides there. And if you go ahead and just flip them over, being very careful, you can see how pretty that looks. Now I'm all about aesthetics. I want to dress this up like a bow on a package. So what I'm going to do is take some of these. I will use this bowl. You can take raspberries or strawberries, and just real quickly, I can use a masher here and make a nice sauce to go right over them. If I wanted to, I could throw in a little bit of maple syrup in here, but just smush them up, or I could throw them back in the blender. Take our spatula, and then you can dress them up. And this could be breakfast, or this can be a dessert. And you see all the colors that you're getting. And even to make it more colorful, let's put a little sprig that I picked of mint out of the garden before I left home. And that is our banana crepes. You gotta admit, that's beautiful. That is lovely. And I can tell you it tastes lovely. So these are just some recipes I thought you might enjoy, and they're a little more, I would say, stepwise, challenging, but they're still easy. You saw I was able to do it in front of you. It's all about having your ingredients ahead of time prepared and in front of you, and it comes together quite nicely. So I want to thank you guys for your attention, and I hope you're inspired. Are you inspired? I'm glad. It doesn't have to be difficult. In fact, as you get into the raw thing, be creative. You like to cook? How many of you enjoy cooking? You can be just as intuitive in a raw kitchen as you can in a real kitchen, and it's just throwing things together. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But for the most part, God has given us amazing and colorful ingredients. So thank you so much for your attention. We've got some good cookbooks back there, and I have 3 of them up here I'd like to just show you real quick. This is by Judita Wignall. It's called Raw and Simple. She also graduated from Living Light Culinary Institute, so many of her recipes are coming from Living Light. They're very similar. She has a banana crepe recipe. It's a little different twist on it, but it's in her Going Raw book. Also, the corn tortillas that I did here is in this little recipe collection book that comes with a nut milk bag, if you know what those are. Really handy little things to make your own nut milk very cheaply. We also have some other things like this Saladaco. I'm very into garnishing and making things look really pretty, so I wanted to introduce that to you. They took my wheatgrass, so I probably don't have time to do that. We'll do that at another demo on Sunday because I ran out of time. But I wanted to show you as part of my regimen that I do a lot of juicing, one of which is wheatgrass every day. I do wheatgrass, I do carrot juice, and lots of salads and raw. So thank you for your time and attention and patience.